Hello, I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching News in Depth. On Wednesday, President Karol Nawrocki is traveling to the US to meet with his American counterpart, Donald Trump. What's on the agenda, and will the president consult his diplomatic efforts with the government? To talk about it, we're joined by our very own Stuart Dowell, political editor at TVP World. Good afternoon, Stuart.
Hello.
As we've just seen, there's another top Polish politician already in the US. Polish Foreign Minister is there meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Now the question is, can Poland afford to have seemingly two independent foreign policies?
No, it can't. It can't afford any of the fiasco which has been happening in foreign policy over the last weeks or couple of months. What we've got at the moment in Poland is basically open warfare between the two centres of foreign policy, the President's office and the government, split between the Prime Minister's Chancellery and the Foreign Office. The warfare is over who gets to say what Poland's foreign policy is. It's driven by polarisation and the combative cohabitation between the two power groups, Karol Nawrocki, backed by Law and Justice, and the pro-European ruling coalition under Donald Tusk. But it's exacerbated by questions about how to interpret the Constitution. For some people, it's obvious. Article 146, I believe, says that the government is responsible for foreign policy. And the second article, I believe it's 133, says that the President represents Poland in foreign policy. And that policy is, the important word here is coordinated. And both sides understand the word coordinate in different ways. This is the root of what's happening.
Now I'd like us to listen to Paweł Wroński, Polish Foreign Ministry spokesperson, on Radosław Sikorski's trip to the US. Let's listen.
Under discussion will be the United States' involvement in the security of NATO's eastern flank. The issue of Ukraine will also be addressed. As we know, the situation has stalled, and what's crucial now is Secretary Rubio's perspective on initiating any kind of peace process.
Now, you say that there's this sort of a tug-of-war between the presidential palace and the government, but how to explain this very sudden, unexpected visit of Radosław Sikorski to the US?
Well, obviously, there's a reason for him to go, as your viewers just saw. But I believe he wants to, by being in the US at the same time, it underscores that.
Stuart, let me interrupt you here. Usually, when there's an event, a Polish top official has to attend. We know of it in advance. Mm-hmm. Now, we've only learned about Sikorski's trip to the US today.
Yeah, I mean, we can speculate. The speculation is obviously that that he wants to be there to draw that distinction. The fact that Karol Nawrocki's trip to the US is very interesting. That it's completely cutting out the government and the government side. Even the embassy in Washington has very little to do with this trip. Normally, in a trip, the embassy is very heavily involved, and so is the Foreign Ministry. The Foreign Ministry has done its bit by sending the famous, as it is now, the famous instruction to the President's office. Which was ridiculed because of its brevity by the President's office, which provoked a response from the Foreign Minister, who he called one of the President's aides an idiot. And the fact that this is happening in itself ridicules Poland's foreign policy. They can't even send each other documents in a courteous way. It will surely raise questions with Poland's allies as to who is leading Poland's foreign policy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, what are the potential political gains for the Polish new president?
Political gains
Yeah.
in domestic policy, in terms of what's happening here. it's all driven by polarisation. The fact that he doesn't want to cooperate with the government, he wants the success of and the prestige of meeting Trump in the Oval Office to fall entirely on himself and on his political side.
But you're not telling me it's all about this, picture shaking hands with Donald Trump. There has to be more to it.
There is more to it, but we have to remember that in Polish politics at the moment, the most important event on the horizon is the parliamentary election in 2027, and everything is subordinated to the needs of the two main sides of the polarisation in that, and that will apply to every interaction between the President's office and the government. This is no exception.
Right, now let's listen to the person we've been talking about, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski.
Referring to Nawrocki's meeting with his American counterpart, Sikorski insisted the president should follow the government's policy brief during the talks.
To facilitate your work, the Council of Ministers has adopted an official position. This is to ensure that you, Mr. President, have clear guidance during your discussions. Our foremost concern is that you convey the true objectives of President Putin in Ukraine and advocate for a just peace for the Ukrainian people. Secondly, we ask that you work to prevent any reduction in the presence of American troops in Europe, particularly in Poland.
So clear instructions have been given. Mm-hmm. Now, Karol Nawrocki is new to this diplomatic game. What should he do and what should he try not to do while at the White House?
Well, the Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski or his ministry told him that he shouldn't oversell or offer what can't be delivered. I think that's good advice. It means that obviously the talks are going to involve not only Ukraine but a whole range of issues. For example, energy. That means the Polish programme to build and operate small module nuclear reactors. They're buying, I believe, the first one from an American company, and they'll want to buy more. The question is, from who? Karol Nawrocki can't make that promise to the American president. Also, he can't make promises about defence procurement. There's another issue, which is the digital tax.
Precisely, that is certainly something he will be asked about by the American administration. What will be the response?
I suspect that the instinct of Karol Nawrocki would be to make a strong declaration that under his presidency he'll veto any tax law or amendment to a tax law that introduces digital tax. And to be honest, to be fair, that is something that the powers granted under the Constitution allow him to do. However, it's worth pointing out that the work on the digital tax, which would tax the profits of very large internet operators and streamers, which, as we know, the most important ones are American companies. Americans are very sensitive about that issue all around the world. The work on the legislation hasn't even started. There isn't even a draft. So Karol Nawrocki might kind of get carried away with himself if he makes strong declarations on that subject.
Let's switch to the Czech Republic, because across Poland's southern border, the political climate is tense as well. The opposition leader Andrej Babiš has been attacked with a crutch. Now he's at hospital. What is the current political status of the Czech Republic, and who wants to change it?
Well, I'd like to just start by saying that I've been following the Czech election for a while, and it's a particularly, I think, not just me, but many analysts have characterised it as a very boring election. Nothing's really happened. Until yesterday, yeah. We've been Czech election has been taking place during the summer lull, and really at the start of September it started the main intense period of the Czech election, and the attack on former Prime Minister Babiš just kind of came along almost by order at the very right time, just to add, although it's a terrible thing, but it adds a kind of kinetic dynamic to the whole thing. And Babiš has been campaigning on safety. A lot of his voters of his ANO or Yes party are older, and the personal safety in the streets is an issue for them. And of course, it was revealed by the Czech media that the assailant, the male pensioner, had posted on Facebook several posts attacking Babiš, attacking Russia, and supporting the Spolu, the governing coalition. So this has been pounced upon by his supporters and by his party, that the government are kind of driving hate speech, and it's definitely going to be exploited in the election.
Mm-hmm. Now, Stuart, it seems that it's a rather new phenomenon to the Czech politics, this violence. We've heard about the assassination attempt in Slovakia,
yeah,
the neighboring country. But usually, as you said, the whole campaign seemed to be rather dull, right? Up until now. So what's going on with the society? Is it really just because of this campaign? Why are the roots deeper?
Why there hasn't been more violence? I'm glad there hasn't been, and I hope that an attack with a crutch is as far as it goes. But what's at stake in the Czech election goes beyond Prague and the Czech Republic. Andrej Babiš, a populist right-wing MP, if he wins, he's currently polling around 29 to 33%. If he wins and forms a coalition, it will change the Czech Republic's foreign policy orientation.
Who can he form this coalition with?
There are many permutations. What's very interesting about the Czech election is that I think the main driving dynamic is fragmentation. We've got the two main parties, ANO and the Spolu coalition, which is the main constituent
which means
of the government.
Together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're on about 20%. They have a partner called the Pirates on about 10%. On the other side, the third largest actually is the Freedom and Direct Democracy Party of very interesting politician, the half Japanese, half Czech Tomio Okamura. He was polling even as high as 17% in one poll, but that's dropped down to 10. But that's the most likely coalition partner for Andrej Babiš. Then there are a whole bunch of smaller parties who are hovering around the 5% at parliamentary election threshold. There's the Stačilo, which means enough. It's a left-wing protest party. The main constituent, a coalition of small parties. The main constituent are the Czech communists. They're actually a potential coalition partner for Andrej Babiš, as well as a group called the Motorists, who are a group that represent the interests of car drivers, but right-leaning, opposed to the EU Green Deal and environmental.
What a coalition would that be?
Yes, and depending on...
absolutely, that sounds like an amazing mosaic of, various groupings and, ideas.
Yeah, and it makes the permutations very complicated. But I think what is certain is that Andrej Babiš's party will be given the first opportunity to form a new government, and whoever he chooses as his coalition partner or partners, the Czech foreign policy is likely to change. You have to remember that the current coalition is very strongly pro-European Union, pro-NATO membership and pro-Ukraine. Andrej Babiš isn't. He's Eurosceptic. He described Volodymyr Zelensky as a warmonger. He uses rhetoric like "this is not Czech's war," which is a classic phrase that we hear from figures like Viktor Orban and Robert Fico in Slovakia next door.
So if he's the country's next prime minister,
Yeah.
will it mean that Slovakia becomes sort of, the Czech Republic becomes, like the neighborly Slovakia?
It would. Andrej Babiš is regarded in the Czech Republic as, although he's a populist, he's very right-leaning. He's a pragmatist. It's likely that it's not likely that he'll push for Czechsit, for example. On the other hand, Tomio Okamura is well known in Czech for demanding a referendum on Czechsit. It's likely, therefore he won't do that. But the interesting thing is that recently around the world we've seen examples of populist leaders who have changed dramatically from being simply populist but pragmatic to very ideological the second time they come into office. Donald Trump, for example, is a great example, and also Robert Fico. Robert Fico has been in and out of government for decades, really. But this time, the rapidity of Slovakia's slide to liberalism has been shocking.
You know that you named actually two politicians who were also attacked in the past year, if I'm not mistaken. Two were shot. One hit with a crutch. That's slightly different, but if it gains him some popularity, it means it's good to not to have too much bodyguards around you these days. Now, lastly, Andrej Babiš has received some get well letter from Viktor Orban. I'm wondering, who's supporting whom in Czech parliamentary elections from abroad?
Who's supporting?
Who's supporting which party? Whether the European Commission does something in the Czech Republic, whether Russia does something in the Czech Republic, or Hungary, for example.
For sure, Czech Republic has seen a lot of disinformation and kind of hybrid war activity from Russia, not just in this election, but going back several years. There's a famous fire at the ammunition plant that they had a while ago. But they've seen a lot of interference in their election, and that's clearly to promote the chances of the right-leaning parties, and the Freedom and Direct Democracy Party, which we talked about, is leaning towards being pro-Russian, and of course the Spolu ruling coalition is supported by all the main people we would expect in the European Union from centrist pro-European governments.
The question is whether we will see the US meddling in Czech elections, as it happened in Germany.
As it happened in Germany, and also as it happened in the Polish election as well. Karol Nawrocki is kind of, they describe him as the main franchise holder of the MAGA brand in Central Europe. If Andrej Babiš wins, he'll join Nawrocki, Fico and Orban to make a kind of Visegrad alt-right group in this part of Europe.
That's an interesting point of view. Stuart Dowell, political editor at TVP World, was our guest this afternoon. Stuart, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching and stay with us for more interviews and news here on TVP World.